I prefer Amazon to Amazon over postal routes any day of the week. It's easy money. Why do people have the audacity to ask you or be really concerned with how much money you've made since you've been in the business? Just know I've done pretty well for myself, okay? I've done well for myself. The reason I don't like to lead with money is because what I make doesn't put money in your pocket. Maybe it inspires some people, but I don't want people to get the wrong impression. You get what I'm saying? I don't want people to think like, hey, if you made $1 million, right? Only your work ethic is gonna guarantee that you make whatever type of money that you make when you come in this business. Your connections, how you move when you get in the business. I've done well for myself. I don't like to throw numbers around because number one, that's personal. Number two, the internet makes it to where, people throw all these crazy numbers out there to try to gain followers. I've just never had to do that. And I don't plan on starting to do that to get people to come in the business. I just like to stay positive. I don't like there's already so much negativity that goes on inside of the trucking industry, and I'm just one of those people that likes to stay positive, right? I like that good energy. I like that positive energy because good energy attracts good energy. All the negative energy, it bounces off me. That's what I'm talking about. Absolutely. All right. Thank you. They just finished loading me up. I'm about to go in, grab these keys, and we're gonna drop this Amazon to Amazon load off.
I don't wanna be crazy no more. Every time I think you're gonna walk out of my door, I start to jump to the conclusion you don't love me no more. Babe, give me something to work with, can you just reassure me? I'll end it before it starts. Call it protecting my heart. Hurt disguised as strength, but it self-sabotage my love. Self-sabotage my love, cause of my own pain. No one's coming to save you, baby girl. You got to save yourself.
What's up, guys? It's homie Bigg Vic. We back in here with another video, and today I'm talking. Is that okay? I'm talking today. Let's have a conversation. It's like I'm gonna treat y'all like a good friend. Y'all good friends. Y'all family, right? I'm gonna treat you like family. Come on, then. Basically, it's like you having a seat right beside me. We're gonna ride. We're gonna have a conversation. Okay? So check this out. Listen, when you get your truck, you get your MC number, you get all your numbers, and you get contracts or whatever you get in this business, and you go out here and you start making your money. At the end of the year, I want you to make a video and tell the world how much you grossed and how much you netted in your business for the year. That's what I want you to do. Sounds stupid, right? I know. That's why I don't do it. That's exactly why I don't do it. Whose business is it? It's your business, right? Right, it's your business, which means that's your private business. So if people get on the internet and they choose to disclose how much money they're making in their business every day, every month, every year. That's fantastic. Kudos to them. But what Bigg Vic is not gonna do, he's not gonna come on his platform and always talk about his numbers. At this point in the game, I definitely don't have to do that. I have my equipment, I have routes that I run, I have contracts that I run. I have multiple sources of income, not only in my trucks, but outside of my trucks. We're gonna put a pin in that whole conversation. But when you come in this business, this is for the guys that, come on people's channels and leave comments like, hey, you guys, y'all need to start talking about your net. Stop always talking about your gross. I don't talk about gross or net on my platform. So don't come on Bigg Vic's videos with none of that nonsense, okay? Next order of business. Got questions. I want to answer some questions. I had someone ask, shout out to Gaddy Luca. I hope I said that right. I hate butchering people's names, but I got a lot of questions that come through on YouTube. Some of them are the same questions I usually answer, but I'm going to answer some questions and let me jump right into that. Right, so do you think I should get a well-paying job while I'm just starting my box truck business so I can sustain it financially until it becomes stable? My answer to that is, when I started in the business 4.5 years ago, I was in the barbershop. Most of you guys know that. I was in the barbershop. I had my barber career for 28 years. That's what I did. I had my clientele, good sized clientele. Was it gonna make me a millionaire? Probably if I opened up multiple chains of barbershops, but that wasn't my ultimate goal. I opened up my own barbershop. I had beauticians, barbers in my shop, and it literally was like running an adult daycare center. So I really wasn't feeling that much. I still wanted something that I could do to make way more money with less headaches. Welcome to trucking. I made way more money, but I also introduced new headaches. This industry has its good and its bad. But to answer your question, I had my job, and at some point you have to make a decision.
And so years later, I started studying what controls our lives. And I'll tell you what I believe controls our lives more than anything else. Decisions. That's it.
Right? We're living in a time now to where brokers are extremely tight with their loads based on the age of your authority. So that puts you in a little sticky situation when you're starting off, if you decide to start off using the load boards. When I started, yes, I had my job, I had my truck. I paid for my truck cash, but I got a loan from Navy Federal, right? So I eventually had to pay that loan back. I jumped out the gate. Loads were paying a lot of money then with Amazon. I was able to start with Amazon immediately. And so with me having that luxury, I came into business. First week was $2,200. Second week's $3,000. And so on and so forth. The numbers, would go up and down each week depending on how many loads I ran. And so when I seen that pattern, I said, I got to go full time doing this thing, because me trying to do this part time is probably not going to pan out like I'm planning it to pan out. So I said, okay, it's time to retire from the barbershop and take this serious, go full time, get out here and make this thing shake. And so that's what I did. And I know a lot of you guys are looking at this business. You have good paying jobs, or what we consider a good paying job. Is decent income for you. You're stable, but you're still looking to get some of your time back. Now, as an entrepreneur, sometimes we put more time in as an entrepreneur than we did on our jobs, because we're doing everything. We're running our entire operation. It may require more of your time until you get established, until you establish yourself in this business. And now, like I always say, like trying to double dutch. You jumping in and out. It could work out for you. Maybe it may not work out for you. It just depends on what type of freight you plan on running when you come into business. And so overhead plays a big part. If you're buying your truck, plays a big part. If you're renting a truck, plays a big part in how you take off when you start. A lot of that stuff plays a big part. Insurance, a lot of that stuff plays a big part. You don't want to put yourself, I wouldn't say in a desperate situation, but that's what happens to a lot of people when they do get started and they have their trucks, no connections. no freight. They don't know what freight they're gonna move. They're calling these brokers. Brokers smell fresh meat. They smell fresh meat. I'm just keep it real with you. You're not probably gonna get the most favorable rates on those loads when you're starting off. Again, this is if you're dealing with brokers. But if you take an alternative route to where maybe you're leased on with somebody that, like I always say, with the aged authority, where you can get more favorable rates, more favorable loads, get some of this contractor freight out here, do your due diligence, do your homework. To make a long story short, as far as that question goes, have some money set to the side. Have you some bread already put up to the side. Have some money. I'm not talking about $1,000 or $2,000. If you can have about five to 10 grand set to the side after you've already grabbed your vehicle, or credit lines. Now I'm just talking about physical cash. I'm saying if you have credit lines that you can kind of lean on as you're building your business. Now I'm not saying go $100,000 in debt. I ain't telling you to do nothing weird like that. But what I am saying is try to start with as little overhead as possible. Your biggest expenses is going to be that insurance, that down payment for that insurance. And in my humble opinion, if you are having to put down anything over $4,000 on your insurance, you should be definitely checking around at some other insurance companies. And if you're paying anywhere near $2,500, $3,000 for insurance every single month for one vehicle, that is extremely high in my opinion. Now, if your records, your driving record is damaged, you got speeding tickets and violations, then that stuff is going to raise up your premium. Now your overhead is going to be that much more higher. And if you're a new authority, that's going to make things a little more difficult for you. If you come in this business thinking that you're just going to go grab DAT load board and automatically you're just going to start booking loads super quick, fast like that. It's going to be a numbers game. I'm here to tell you it's going to be a numbers game. I hope that answers that question for you. Joseph said, "Hey Vic, I'm a mailman in Lancaster, PA. My base salary is $74,000. With overtime working 55 hours plus a week, I make somewhere around $110,000 to $120,000 a year. But I got teenagers now in sports. I need more time for them. But yes, I have that fear of not losing money, but losing more time with my boys. I do have my cousins that are allowing me to operate under their company based in Thomasville, North Carolina. I have seen plenty of your videos and much appreciated. Now my question is, how should I start my box truck or cargo van? Like I seen on Indeed saying make $2,500 to $4,000 a week using a cargo van in my area, but I'm not sure how true that is. Like they say it's local, but could be OTR. So a lot of those Indeed postings, you really got to filter through a lot of those Indeed postings. Some of them are legitimate. Some of them are just dispatchers trying to dispatch trucks. So they make it look like they can get you all these loads when in all actuality, it's a dispatch company posing as a broker or a company that can get you guaranteed freight. So you have to filter through a lot of that Indeed stuff. There's a lot of final mile stuff on there, white glove services that are on Indeed, which are appliances, going in people's homes, setting up appliances, furniture, moving, things of that nature. Those are up there. There's plenty of those up there. But like I said, you got to sift and sort through those things. And then at the end of the day, you got to decide what your setup is going to be, whether you're going to do cargo vans, sprinter vans, or whether you're going to do a box truck. You just got to make that decision. And if you got a well-paying job right now, if you're at $110,000, $120,000 after taxes, it all depends on how you look at it. To some people, that's considered a successful job. That's considered success. If you're getting $110,000, $120,000 on your job and you don't have time to even enjoy the money, then that's a whole different story. To some folks, you basically a slave to your job. Me personally, if I'm gonna be a slave, I'm gonna be a slave to my own business. It is what it is. Or building my own dreams. I'm gonna work hard for myself. The problem is a lot of people are willing to work harder for other people than they do on themselves. That's a big problem in this country. If I was starting, of course, if you just mentioned, if your cousin, they have an authority that you can lease onto, then boom. By all means, just decide which truck you want to roll, you want to run in. You got to find the work that you're going to be doing. So many different sources of freight to be moved out here. You got to find which freight makes the most sense for you to run. I would be researching that now before I go make the purchase of the vehicle. You gotta know what work you're going to be moving. I'm gonna say it again, y'all. You gotta know which work you're going to be moving. Joseph, I hope that answers that question for you. Uber driver chat asked me, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you recommend upgrading to a Reefer for the same size 26-foot box truck? Is paying the extra for that feature worth the extra low rates opportunities? Personally, I think I would say so. Most time you see refrigerator loads, they're paying more than dry box truck van loads. 9 times out of 10, they're gonna be paying more. What I would find is most times I would see a load paying extremely well. Before I purchased my truck, I would go down into the comments. I would look like, oh man, they need a Reefer. I didn't have a Reefer at the time. And so most of those loads were always paying amazing. And so that's something to consider. If you decide you want to, upgrade that box, get a refrigerator box, definitely. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm gonna give it a 10. The difference to me is night and day. It's not too much more expenses that you're gonna be paying because you have a Reefer on your truck. They usually stand the test of time even in a bad market. Okay. Hope that answered that question. Someone commented and said you can't expect your loads to always be good loads. The way I book my loads, I'm always expecting my loads to be good loads in terms of what I'm getting paid for that load at this stage in the game. If you're brand new, that's a whole nother conversation. But at this point right now, yes, I'm expecting my loads to pay good because most times if I'm running Amazon, I'm posting my truck, or if I'm picking a contract, I'm picking a rate that I'm comfortable with running. Now, in terms of logistically, what happens during running that route or running that load, then that's a whole nother story. All right. But outside of that, if I'm picking a load, I'm comfortable with the pricing of that load. You may not have that luxury as a brand new carrier with a brand new authority, running under your own authority, and you're out there trying to figure out which load you're going to be moving, right? A lot of you guys are kind of just moving what you can move as a new authority. They say it's good to go, you're running it. But yes, I'm definitely very, very picky when it comes to what I'm running. Timothy asks, what's the best type box truck you recommend to start a business with, bro? Best type of box truck I recommend to start a business with is a box truck that is well maintained. Pay close attention to the height of that box truck. Do not get a box truck with a small box on it. If that box is 12 feet 1 inches in height, leave it right there on the yard. 12.7 or above is the lowest box that I would possibly buy. Notice I'm not really getting into brand names because I personally prefer Cummins engine, Allison transmission in that truck. Usually those engines they stood the test of time, but some guys have Max, Peterbilts, Kenworths. All of these different trucks have their flagship engines in those trucks. So you kind of gotta find the truck that works. Get you a good diesel mechanic that can look over that vehicle, and that's gonna be the best box truck for you. If it's affordable, if it's in your price range, and that truck runs like a sewing machine, that's gonna be the truck you should start off with. It's a lot of them out here, man, but I have a Freightliner with a Cummins engine, Allison transmission, and I also have an International with a Cummins Allison transmission. My first truck had a DT466 Detroit engine, which was one of International's flagship engines. I guess that was before the Cummins engines. And so that Detroit, that's a solid engine. That truck, my first truck, ran like a sewing machine with 500,000 miles, over 500,000 miles on that dash. And so a well-maintained truck is what you are looking for at the end of the day.